So this is part 2 on working on the forklift. So if you haven't seen part 1, I'll have that linked in the video description on where I showed off the John Deere golf course mower that this whole drive system and everything came from. So we got the whole front axle thing cut off of that mower and then welded on this Aaron's garden tractor frame. So basically I was going to actually make it skinnier, but I didn't want to mess with cutting them hardline hydraulics or hard hydraulic lines and bringing them closer together and cutting that frame. That was just too much to do, and I'd make it worse by doing that, so I just decided to leave it. And then basically on how this is going to work is you're going to sit backwards like this, so that instead of facing like a tractor, you sit like an actual forklift with the tires behind you. So basically, the pedals are right here from the John Deere mower. So it's got a foot control hydro, 2 pedals right there, the brakes right there. That'll be going right up here. This has to get cut off. The pedals are going to go there, and then the transmission is going to sit someplace right here. And then I have to cut these off, these 2 pieces of metal. And then probably this flange here, and then that's where the engine's gonna sit. And then there's plenty of room back here for the radiator and stuff. And then hanging off right about here will be the weight that is right here on the current forklift. And then the mast and everything I'm gonna use is right here. So basically I'm gonna take a bunch of parts off of this and put on here is kind of the plan. I'll show you the engine for those that haven't seen it before or just need a refresh about it. It's a 21 or 22 horse liquid cooled Kawasaki V-twin. That is like computer controlled ignition. I did get the wiring figured out, so I have to put all that together, make sure it still runs. I did clean the carburetor just to make it refreshed. Here's the transmission that decided to pour hydraulic oil all over the floor. It's a transmission with power steering, hydraulic pump, all of that stuff. And here's the valve that the steering wheel bolts on. And then, of course, one thing I forgot to mention is, for those that hasn't seen the first part of this video, this has hydraulic motors to drive the wheels instead of just the actual transmission with the drive shaft. So I'm going to get this transmission mounted and possibly some engine mounts figured out, and I will come back once I do that. Okay, so as you can see, I got a lot done since the last time I showed it to you. Transmission is mounted. Engine mounts are in. So engine mount is basically, it bolts on right here, or them 2 bolts, or them 2 holes, and them 2 holes on either side. It's mounted on there, and then this is also mounted to the frame. And then all that's mounted together. Hydraulic oil filter is welded to the frame. Steering wheel that's mounted has an adjustable steering, which as you can see, adjusts. It's kind of sticky, but it does work. Of course, you got the original frame that was the floorboard and where the pedals were on mounted. So if you push the pedal forward, moves the transmission forward, you push it backwards, moves it back. So that just works with a cable that goes right here. It's kind of at a bad angle, but it's whatever, it seems to work fine. Goes down, up, and over to there. And the only thing that isn't hooked up yet for the pedals is the parking brake. So that's one of the next things, but the next thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get the engine mounted and engine related components, and I will come back once that's mounted. Okay, so made some more progress on it. You can see the engine's now in. It's got this cage thing that's it's going to be like the seat support in the hood. This is a video of it running. As you just saw it running there, that it does run, and the tires does go forward and back, so that's kind of cool. Got just this little gas tank here rigged up, and then got most of the wiring done. So this key switch, I couldn't figure out the back of it. It's the standard like in-DAC key switch, except it controlled the computer, which controlled everything on it, and all I could figure out was off and on. So what it'll be is you turn the key on, the hour meter and all them lights will light up, and then you have to push a button to start it. And then you got a light switch here, and then everything else on the other side of the dash right here will be for like the up and down of the forks and everything. And then PVC pipe for the hydraulic reservoir. It does leak a little bit, but that actually comes from right here where we had to splice 2 pieces of that tubing together, so we'll have to seal that better, I guess. The wiring comes back to this mess that I got to figure out yet. I did label it, so that's good. Just figure out what exactly what does and basically hook it up. I got the computer hooked in that controls the spark plug or spark timing, and I got the regulator zip tied down for now. The fan isn't hooked up because I'm gonna have to put my alternator on here, which is gonna go someplace right here before that because of the belt. Anyway, I'm going to get some more done on this, and I will come back and show you the progress. Okay, as you see, I got a bunch of progress done on it. We got the mast put on. It needs some fine tuning, like the mast needs to go back because you can see all of that waste of space there between the back of it and the front of the machine. So this will have to get cut off and then moved back here. So that's not too big of a deal. And then these will have to get moved back and then new holes drilled here and then bolted on because that's how it attaches. I got the weight put on. This is 650 or so pounds of concrete. And then this is about 100 to 150 pounds of metal, which this was the side shift bracket off the original forklift that Mast came from. And then it's on just these gigantic pieces of square tubing that's about I'd say 1/4 inch thick. It just bolts over here to the frame. There's the other bolts hidden inside it, so that's why you can't see it. There is 2 on each side, just so you can only see the one. Has these very loud mufflers on it, but they do the job. It definitely can tell it's a V-twin. The radiator and everything is hooked up, but the belt isn't on there. So just gotta watch the temp gauge and make sure it doesn't overheat. It does leak a good amount of oil, as you see there. Comes from the bottom of the reservoir. Apparently that isn't sealed quite like it should. And it also leaks here, but that's not that big of a deal. Got a fuel tank strapped on. I didn't cut the tail of the zip tie in case it needed to get redone. And fuel pump mounted, because of where it's located I had to use a fuel pump. Seats mounted. Has a rag on it because it sat outside, and I'm going to be sitting on it here in a minute to show you it running. And it just kind of, well, the metal's mounted, but the seat just sits on it. So I'm going to start it up and show you how it runs. So this is the starting procedure. As of right now, you turn the key on. It beeps at you saying the key's on. Start it up. And right now, this is how you raise and lower the forks. I'll be either mounting these 2 switches here that operate the forks to the dash panel, or I'll be making a new lever that's like right here to make them go up and down. So right now you flip this switch one way and then you have to push this button to actually make them work. So I'm hoping I can make that into just a lever to move. That'd be quite a bit easier to operate. And this does still have a remote control that operates the winch, which moves the forks up and down also. But yeah, that is it for this video. Next time you'll see is basically all the like fine-tuning improvements, like moving that mast. I need to do some adjusting on the power steering because this is all loose. The axle's super loose in the frame, so there's a ton of play in the steering. Fixing this leak. Get it ready for paint, and then paint it. Something for a hood. I'm not going in any particular order, but a bunch of that stuff. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, parking brake. The brake pedal, it hits the forklift bracket before you can even use it, so I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, that is it. And next time you'll see some more progress on this. Thanks for watching.